kid. Yeah. But just his celebration when he does that little, when he's, up in the air, he's just great. He's so fun to watch.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Peach State Power Hour. I'm Harrison Reno. Alongside me, co-host Andy Stowe, Eddie from Acworth, with a great new shirt, which I don't know if we're ever going to go hands on, Andy. But
yeah, we didn't get one. Yeah, apparently.
Maybe. If y'all are nice to me, we'll see.
All right.
Welcome
in, everybody. Another call-in show edition of the Peach State Power Hour, which brings me to the fact, in just a couple moments, I will be putting the show link into the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. Hop on there, click the link, come join us. You get 5 minutes per caller. If we want to speed it up and have a little bit more fun, we may add another caller in with you. At this point, I'm hoping we have some regulars to hop on here with us. They've done it the last 2 times. We want to hear from you. We're talking Georgia football to start it off tonight as spring practice is up and rolling. We will also discuss Georgia basketball. I'm sure that conversation is going to be spirited. We want to hear your thoughts on that and also your thoughts on the football team and spring practice. We will also touch on Georgia baseball after they just got walloped in College Station today, but they won the series. And then we hope we're going to touch on the Braves, everyone's favorite topic, especially Eddie's, and then the Hawks. So, loaded show, a lot to get to, but I'm going to open the floor right here, right now. Gentlemen, spring practice is up and rolling. We'll start there. Boys, what are y'all's biggest concerns heading into camp?
Well, one, I want to say I've been hearing Kirby yell, so he's in midseason form already. So he's out there going nuts. Yeah, he's every other word is probably needs a censor on it. But y'all know me. My biggest concern will always be right there on those offensive line. It's always going to be the offensive line issue. So we're losing Monroe Freeland.
Andy Stowe.
Dude, it always ask Kirby smart. Ask Kirby what he's worried about. He's going to say the offensive line every year. Offensive line, defensive line, stopping the run and running the ball. Yeah, I mean, you lose Monroe Freeling. You're losing a guy that's going in the first round. So yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily concerned about it because some of the reports out of spring camp is the line's looking pretty good, and I saw that Ernest Green, who's moved over to left tackle, will he start there for the season? We don't know, but the reports was he looked pretty good this week. So maybe my biggest concern is not going to be a concern. Eddie?
I hope so. I hope you're right. I'm with you, Andy. I mean, you always build football from the football out, right? So that's always the biggest concern, 100%. But my concern right now is the wide receiving core. I ran the numbers. Now, this doesn't include sweeps, right? Those are passes, I guess, as ones in front, but like a handoff sweep doesn't count. But I mean, obviously we lost Zach Branch, we lost Colby Branch, and those two combined for over 1,000 yards in receiving, right? Zach Branch had 6 TDs, and Colby, while hurt, he still only had 1 TD, but that's a lot of yards you're replacing right there. And you're relying on a transfer, Isaiah Canyon, is that how you say his name? Canyon, right? From Georgia Tech. Now, we're hearing really good things out of him at camp, and the guy's built much like Colby Young, right? I mean, he's a beast. Yeah, he's a beast, which is great. And then you're going back to Tylen Taylor, right? CJ Wiley, these guys, a lot of talk coming out of camp of those guys. It looks really good, but I didn't even mention Dylan Bell. I mean, that's a senior guy. He didn't get a ton of catches, but he's a senior leader that you lost there. So, and
he made big plays when they
yes, exactly. Now you could say, I always say this, the guys who catch footballs, because that loops in the tight end room, right? And we should be really, really strong there. And they may play 13, 14 personnel at times. Who knows? Because those tight ends are so good. But I'm just really concerned. The biggest thing is Zach Branch. How do you replace that guy? He was such a weapon.
Yeah, he was. And Harrison, I know you guys have all been y'all at practice this week. What are y'all hearing about that? About who can replace Branch? And what about Zachy Helton? Apparently, he's getting a lot of buzz. Another freshman offensive lineman. We kind of heard this last year of Glover and Gaston, and next thing you know, both of those guys are starting. So what are y'all seeing?
Over and we're good.
Yeah, elite. Yeah. So what are y'all hearing about those guys and seeing with those guys at camp?
Yeah, so obviously, I think we've had this discussion before. I don't think you're going to replace Zachariah Branch and everything that made him special. Obviously, in terms of screen game and all that, like that is one of the more dynamic athletes that Georgia's had on its roster at the receiver position in the Kirby Smart era. To me, I think that's the most dynamic athlete he's had out there, just in terms of being able to make people miss, win in space. I don't know if you've had one like that. And considering if that's the case and everyone agrees on that, it took how many years for a Zachariah Branch type athlete to walk into that building and play at that? Yeah. So you may
10
not see,
years.
but I will say, from what UJ Sports saw when it went to practice, it did seem like Sokovie White-Helton is going to be the guy in first team reps at slot. If you remember, this was a guy that was highly rated to come out of high school, played at Cass down there in Cartersville, Georgia, 5'8.5", 175 pounds. We've seen bits and pieces of him now. I believe this, he's going into his third or fourth year at Georgia. He's stayed the part. He's stuck to the process. He's finally going to get his opportunity now in a bigger role, in a bigger way. I'm excited to see what he can do. But in terms, I think right now, and we're obviously going to have to see how fall camp plays out and spring practice plays out. I really do think it's going to have to be a by committee approach. I don't know if you're going to have the gap in terms of production that you had this past year with Zachariah Branch. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Isaiah Canyon comes in here and that's an 800, 900-yard guy. But I just think when I look at it right now, I think you're going to have a lot of guys in that 400 to 500-yard range. I don't know if you have a guy get up to 700 yards or more because, to me, guys, and I think we've talked about this before, they made the decision. They only had one spot to give out of the portal at receiver, and they took Isaiah Canyon. They're betting on everybody else. Their recruit and development, their retain and development to carry them at this position. You're looking at Sokovie White-Helton. You're looking at C.J. Wiley, Talon Taylor, Landon Rolden, a couple of those, Thomas Blackshear, to take a jump from where they were last year and to get to that level to where they're starting this year and they're playing SEC football. That's a big jump. And just to me, seeing what we've seen in the Kirby Smart era, I don't have full confidence in that just yet because they've tried this before. It felt like coming out of 2018 into going into 19. Then you lost your top 5 receivers as well. And you tried to develop and retain the talent you had to replace them. And we saw what happened in that season. Lawrence Cager was your top guy. He had injury issues. You counted on freshman George Pickens. He obviously was unreliable at times. So I'm waiting and seeing on this approach. But I will say from what we've heard and what we've seen, it certainly seems like people are really high on what Isaiah Canyon can bring to this offense. Has made a couple key catches or highlight catches, apparently, in practice so far this week. My biggest concern.
Hey, can I ask you a question before you get to your concern? Do you think we as Georgia fans just need to accept the fact that this Kirby Smart era we're in right now, we're just not going to bring in the Jeremiah Smiths, the Ryan Williams? That's just not how this program works. It's going to be wide receiver by committee. You're not going to have that one dude who scares the hell out of every defense he plays. It's by committee, like you said. Is that the case, Harrison, you think?
I don't want to say
could that be changed? I'm not saying never. I'm saying as it stands now, right?
Because, obviously, Jeremiah Smith is in his class of its own, in a class of his own. Yeah. But you did have one guy
in the mix for those guys. We're never in the mix for those guys, it seems like, right?
You did have one guy that everyone was scared about this past year in Zachariah Branch. So, it can't happen. Yeah. Now, that's not to say Zachariah Branch, Jeremiah Smith are in the same category. Jeremiah Smith is going to be a first-round draft pick, probably top 10 pick.
How many Jeremiah Smiths are there, though? That's what there's not. How many Jeremiah Smiths are there?
There's not many, but when those names come up, Andy, it seems like Georgia's never on that short list.
And that's true.
They're on the short list, and they never capitalized.
That's
right?
true. That's true. But Talon Taylor was a 5-star wide receiver. He was one of the most sought after wide receivers in the country a couple of years ago. So, I'm not saying he's Jeremiah Smith clearly, but he was one of the most sought after receivers. So I think we are getting some guys, but I don't know if Jeremiah Smith's an option, or a player like that good. But and of course we like to run the ball a lot more too. We're not that wide open, throw it all the time. So
But that goes back to what I'm saying. Why would a wide receiver want to come here like a Jeremiah Smith when he knows, okay, Ohio State, they're going
He's
to
not getting 1,300. Correct.
Right, exactly. And so, and I'm not opposed to that. I love running the football. Y'all know how I feel about that.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, sorry, Harrison. Sorry to knock you off topic.
Good.
Go ahead with your concerns.
I think it's a valid question. Obviously, in today's world of recruiting and the way Georgia goes about its process in terms of identifying and recruiting talent, especially at that position, you're looking for a certain mold of a player at that position. Yeah. Obviously, number one is you got to be able to catch the football. And as James Coley says, you got to be able to change the game. But you go talk to Noah Thomas at Pro Day. The thing he emphasized was you got to be able to go block. You got to block to get the rock, as I believe is what he said. And not everyone wants to do that. Now, whether you agree or disagree with how Georgia goes about making this board, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm also not going to tell you you're right. But I do think
that goes back to the running game, right? That
goes back
up
to the running game. Then the other part is the way people want to be paid these days.
Yep.
In a world where there's supposed to be a cap allotment.
Yeah, sure.
And at the same time, it doesn't seem like everybody's playing under the same rules. I'm not so sure that Georgia's going to go out of its way to pay a big monster receiver high dollar these days. Yeah. But, if you can go get a Jeremiah Smith and you have to go skimpy everywhere else in the position, I mean, I think it could work still. I don't know about y'all, but because you have an elite level talent, but that's neither here nor there. My biggest concern, I'm going to start here because y'all took out the first two, and I agree with both of them. My biggest concern here, and it's not really so much, I don't even think this makes the top three of concerns, but it's a concern given the other question marks on this roster. It's, okay, what does the trajectory of Gunnar Stockton look like going into year two as a starter? Because if the rest of your roster's not up to par with maybe where you traditionally need it to be, can Stockton not only elevate himself to a certain level, but elevate the guys around him to a certain level and make the group around him play better than maybe the sum of their individual parts? That's my, I guess, concern / question. What does 14 look like in year two as a starter? Because we saw what year one was like. We've talked about it. The highs were high.
Yeah.
The lows were maybe a little too low. And I think we've talked about this before. Got to get the lows up a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to get the baseline up just a little bit.
Yeah. The floor has to be higher. The floor has to be a little bit higher. But, and there's a lot of injuries he had. There's reports of torn, something in the ribs or something, just all kinds of stuff. I don't know, oblique muscles or something. But Harrison, is the offensive line this year going to be on par with last year? Do you think it will be? I know we're losing Monroe Freeland, but you're also going to have Glover and Gaston in their second year starting. And those two guys are elite dudes. Bobo should be back. So
I think end of the year next year,
it could be
end of year next year is going to be better than what you had at the end of the year this year.
Okay,
there is some development going on.
Because I think the end of the year, you are going to have, I don't want to butcher his name, Agboko and Zaki Helton playing major snaps, kind of like you did Glover and Gaston, is what I predict right now.
The running back room, is the running back room better this year than it was last year?
I think it's stayed the same. I don't think you've gotten worse.
Okay, I don't think you've gotten worse, but you can argue it's going to be better because you're going to have your top two backs back again for their third year, and clearly should be better. So I would argue that would be better. The tight end room, I think, is probably going to be
even
or and the wide receivers may be a touch off. So I really don't necessarily think Gunnar has to be Superman, because I think there's going to be improvements on the O-line and the running back. So I think it's going to be, he doesn't have to be Superman. I think if he can get one notch better or two notches better, maybe he doesn't have to elevate the other guys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think he needs to, but you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to be Superman to make them be great, is what I think.
Well, that's the big thing. Don't try to be Superman.
Yeah. I found it interesting. I'm not invalidating what you said, Harrison, by any means, but Andy and I picked groups. You picked one player.
Yeah.
It's just kind of interesting. Now the quarterback obviously touches the ball every snap, right? So,
well, let me ask you this: if we're picking one player, who did I pick? Who would I have picked if I was picking one player?
Oh God,
Ernest Green.
I was going to say Ernest Green, but he's moving
because
over left.
He's moving to left tackle. That's why.
Yeah,
because he's got to protect. He's got to protect Gunner's.
It's not even just moving over to left tackle that's the concern with him. It's just the injuries.
It's the injuries. That's the biggest thing. Yeah,
because you saw as a freshman.
Yeah, right. He feels good. Now it's March, right?
It's March. You're right. So that would be if we're picking one player, that would be where I would go, because that is to me is like the biggest concern on the offensive line is going to be, can we have that left tackle that can protect?
If you had to drill down like Harrison did, that's what you mean,
for sure,
right?
for sure.
I got you.
And I do want to point this out. Like the reason I'm not putting everything on Gunner.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I said what I said is obviously because the two top choices were already off the board.
Yeah.
The last time I tried to agree with the two, y'all brought Eddie.
I don't know about that, Harrison. What about the defensive line? Nobody even brought up the defensive line, right?
I was thinking about the DBs. What about you're bringing in two new safeties.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I would say the defensive line over the defensive backs. Go ahead, Harrison.
I get your point. I feel better about the defensive line being better this year because you do have returning talent.
You think Elijah Griffin's going to be a stud this year, don't you? You think he's going to go off?
I think everybody thinks Elijah Griffin's going to be a stud, but I don't even think he's the main point with the defensive line for me. Is I think we know you're going to be near the standard again against the run. I think we know that. I think you're going to see a jump from below average pass rush to maybe more average or maybe even above average pass rush.
If they become average, that's all they got to do is be average. Yes, they don't have to be like, if they take one notch, maybe two notches above where it was last year, heck, you probably win that Ole Miss game, and you're looking at that national championship. So.
Well, if we go back to last year when we went into SEC media days, maybe before that, probably spring ball, Kirby talked about running the ball and stopping the run. Those were the two biggest issues for this team in 2024, right?
Yeah.
Running the ball was tremendously better from what it was, right? And stopping the run was much better too. Now he's talking about creating havoc on defense. He wants to still improve running the ball, but that's what I like, creating havoc on defense. And I think that goes back to sacks and interceptions, which we were really low on this year. If he does that and brings that up a notch, oh man, that's huge.
Y'all remember the last time he talked about creating havoc? Y'all remember what season was coming out of?
I think it was
coming out. He's talked about it before.
I think that would have been when Nolan Smith was here, and I think we started creating some havoc.
2021? Yeah. Going into 2021?
I
remember havoc rate being talked about at Georgia following the 2017 season.
Okay.
Going into 18.
Okay.
I also remember being talked about from 18 to 19 because it was in between the Mel Tucker and Dan Lanning transition that I remember it being talked about. And that's when you got your group that obviously ended up going on to win your national championship in your defensive line room. So interesting parallel there.
And post Fred's comments, special teams is a concern. Hey, Fred, turn that camera on, dude. Come talk to us. I'd like to talk to you about that. Yeah, that's I don't think I'm very concerned about the special teams. I think special teams is pretty good.
That more goes back to you're losing Brett Thorson, right? And he was such a
he was a weapon. He was a weapon.
He was a weapon. That's exactly right. Yeah. Maybe I could be wrong about that, and then our return game, has it really been in existence the past couple of years? We really don't have much of a return game.
We don't.
That was the one thing I was surprised about, that we never saw Zachariah Branch kick off for a touchdown or something. I thought we were guaranteed one. Yeah. But I guess maybe he didn't get an opportunity as well. Not many opportunities.
A lot of fair catches. Remember, if you think back, a lot of fair catches.
I guess the Cody White would be the
Marvin Charles. Will Stockton take that next step and throw over the middle consistently without hesitation?
There you go.
I think those areas that people are going to talk about where he can take that next step. Maybe doing a little bit more having a little bit more anticipation in his throws. Yeah. Being a little bit more anticipatory in terms of his decision making.
That's a real good point. Yeah, because that's where he lacked a little bit. And plus, I think we need to use our tight ends more. I mean, I know it's crazy. We went from having the greatest tight end room of all time, and Brock Bowers, it was just like he touched the ball every play to not throw into the guys as much. But I think our tight end room's a huge weapon. Like, really, I think our tight ends could be. I think they could be the best tight end group in the country and would be a massive weapon with Ethan Barbour. I mean, all those guys are just going to be freaks, you know. So
I was going to bring that up, Andy, and everybody can complain about injuries. I know Bama did it forever when we beat them in the national championship, right?
Yeah.
Mechie and Williams. But where would this team have been last year if Ethan Barbour doesn't blow out his ankle in that second game, whatever that was?
Was it the second game?
I mean,
it was early.
It was the first game, or whatever. It was early in the season, and he was done.
Yep.
Where would last year's team have been if Ethan Barbour plays the entire year? I mean, he started as a freshman, and the kid was an animal. So, you know, just one of those things. That's a guy that's coming back this year we hadn't really thought about.
I have an even bigger what if question for you in the world of what ifs.
Okay.
What if Gabe Harris was healthy going into the Sugar Bowl?
Oh, well, you know that answer. You know that
we
answer.
Know the answer to that.
You know we move on. I mean, we move on. We know that.
That guy was creating havoc, is what he was doing.
He become that guy that we needed, and then he gets hurt. I mean, that's the thing. And I saw somebody post in the comments like, maybe God will let us finally not be injured this year or something. But like, that's the thing. It's like, Marsh Mutt. Yeah. He was, and I'm not going to say he's the only reason we lost the game. You put that guy in there, we win the game. I mean, it is what it is. Like he was those 2 or 3 weeks before that, he was that dude. Like he was that end guy that we needed. And then we lost.
Think about what Ole Miss had to prepare for going into that week. I'm not knocking Quintavious Johnson at all, but
you're talking
Zero was the guy. Zero was the guy they had to prepare for, and he was non-existent, right? They didn't even have to think about that. He's in that game, Harrison, like you're talking about. They're staying up at night figuring out how are we going to block this guy, and that wasn't there.
I'll never forget it. I'm sitting in the press room on media day, and Pete Golden's talking about Georgia's defense, and he talked about, I believe it was maybe Gabe Harris specifically as a player, said he is their strong side run defender, pointed it out to everybody in that room. And then the first couple of successful runs Ole Miss had, you know where they went?
They went right at
there.
him.
Right where Gabe Harris
well,
they
should. Yeah.
And a lot of those, like he probably could have ran Trinidad Chambliss down, probably, because there was a lot of times we had him, but we just couldn't get him to the ground. He probably could have done it. So he was, and he's going to be back. And if he's healthy, like you're talking about a defensive line, especially Jordan Hall, like he's going to be, a redshirt junior, fourth year coming into the program. You're looking at Griffin, who's going to be all accounts taking that next step. That D line may be nasty next year.
Isn't that the
biggest jump, Harrison?
I think people are already talking about Valdon Stone. What does Valdon Stone look like as a true freshman? Is he one of those guys that sees the field early in some ways? People were down on this recruiting class for Georgia. I think there's a lot of panic when a guy like Jared Curtis didn't end up in the class.
Well, that's what happened.
Other names, junior misses. It just felt like a lot of people were down on this class. But when you talk about it, when we get to spring ball and you're hearing, hey, this guy looks impressive or this guy looks impressive, you're like, okay, like if all these guys hit, then you could end up having just as many freshmen playing in your defense as you have had in other classes. Granted, it's still early, really early. We just got out of week 1 of spring ball. So there will be plenty of time for things to change in this. Gentlemen, let's talk about Pro Day real quick.
What all y'all see?
Move on to basketball. By the way, while we're here, ladies and gentlemen, I put the link to call into the show in the comments.
Come join us.
Have the camera on. Don't have the camera on. I don't care. You can be Eddie's son in the basement or whoever the heck John Green is, if John Green exists. I haven't seen John Green in this comment section since the season ended. So I'm just going to go on a note of saying maybe John Green's a casual and only pays attention in season. John Green, if you're listening, prove to us that you're a diehard Eddie fan, because I haven't seen you in forever. So, who else? Who else we've not seen in a little bit? We got some people
Foster Moss, he watches the show, but he never joins, and he always says he's going to, but he never does. And I see
Foster always has great comments. He's great.
Come on, Foster. Yeah. Turn that camera on. Join us, buddy.
Yeah. let's get some flavor up on here. I'm tired of looking at Eddie down at the bottom. Let's find somebody who's more good looking to join him down there in the bottom and talk ball with us over here on the Peach State Power. Remember, link is in the comments. Come join us. I'll put you on the screen. You get 5 minutes. If you're the only caller in the queue, we can keep you on for longer. We've had some great calls over the last two times that we've done this. Heck, somebody better call in before we get Paul and Harry on here and this show gets derailed for the rest of time.
Right down the drain.
Pro Day real quick. Just general thoughts. I'm going to open this up to y'all because y'all got to see clips and all that. CJ Allen was a subject of focus coming out of Pro Day. A lot of CJ Allen detractors after his Pro Day workout. Are we buying or selling on CJ Allen stock? Gentlemen, I'm going to open the floor up to y'all.
I'm definitely buying his stock. I think he's going to be, you saw when he was healthy last year, what he could do for the program, what he could do for the defense. He's a coach on the field. So no, I think he's going to be great. Yeah, I love CJ Allen. I think he's going to be a really good player.
So you're telling me he didn't do well in the underwear Olympics? Is that what you're telling me, Harrison?
I guess so. People said he looked stiff, and I'm like, all right.
Did they watch you? Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth. By the way, I think the Falcons picked 43, 45, something like that.
I think it's 44, isn't it? Or 48?
Yeah,
44.
I was thinking 40. I think it's 48.
40 something. Whatever.
48.
Zach Branch is looking to be there possibly, and that's probably not a bad pick for the Falcons.
I think CJ Allen's going to be there.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. CJ Allen's there. We don't have Caden Ellis on this team anymore. And the Falcons as a whole were there. Were there 30 people there at Pro Day for the Falcons? They finally learned, the guys up the road, they know what they're doing. They finally figured this out last year. I would be thrilled if they took CJ Allen in the 40s right there. He can step right in day one and play linebacker for this team. I mean, no, I'm buying CJ Allen. Because Harrison, again, underwear Olympics aside, body of work. The guy's a leader. He knows how to play football, and he was always around the football. That's what you got to be doing as a linebacker. Always there.
Marshmut says, won't be able to call, but I'll be there for basketball comments for sure. You know, Marshmut, I'm beginning to question your loyalty. You've never called into our show. You're allegedly a good friend of Eddie's, but I've never seen your face.
That's okay. Some people are not comfortable coming on. That's okay. I'm not going to knock Marshmut. He's always with us, though.
I will say
this is an Eddie deepfake. Marshmut's an Eddie deepfake is what I'm
thinking. No, it's not. Marshmut.
Eddie has no friends other than us. I don't believe it.
That is absolutely not true.
Off of NFL.com, they have Monroe Freeling mocked to go with a 6th overall pick to the Cleveland Browns. So
holy cow.
That sucks. He's going to Cleveland. I hate that for him, but yes.
Jed's pumping his fist right now, boys. Jed be over the moon.
Oh, just to bring him up there to suck. I mean, that's what I don't get really too upset when the Falcons don't get Georgia Bulldog players because I don't want us to suck down there. So
yeah, no, I get that. I understand.
But yeah, that's the only Georgia player they have in the first round.
The first round is Denzel
was that me or y'all?
That was me. I think I muted it.
That was you? Okay. I was like, wait. All right. Should we go on to a more depressing topic for our comment section and all that?
We have to.
All right.
But before you do, they have CJ Allen mocked to go the 46th pick to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So there you go. It's right there. It's right there.
Right before. How would y'all feel about that?
What, in Tampa?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be pissed off. I mean,
I don't want him to play for the forward.
And I think that's a really good mock pick right there too. Yeah. Because if you remember, Todd Bowles, his son Troy Bowles, was at Georgia for a little bit.
For a long time.
Yep,
I
think was in the same class as CJ Allen. So a little bit of inside intel on that pick. That'll be interesting. And plus, I believe they've had obviously Alexander Quan Alexander's been up there for a long time. I'm trying to think. Was it Devin White was the other one that's been there for a long time?
That's
veterans
That's right.
In that room. That would be an interesting choice in terms of putting him alongside those two veterans who have had a really successful career. All right. On that note, by the way, this would be like the perfect spot for a sponsor to have your like ad read or whatever as we transition segments just right here. So if you're interested, hit us up. We're going to put Eddie's personal information down in the comments. Feel free to contact him. Name, photo, address, passport, whatever you need to get in touch with Acworth. He's our business manager. You can hit him up. Come sponsor the Peach State Power Hour. This is a great question, Mark Mutt. What did y'all do to run off Key? I haven't seen Garrett Key in forever. So that's a great question. I hope he's wearing
We
pants.
didn't do anything, by the way. We didn't do anything.
Well, I didn't. Eddie might have, but I didn't. So.
All right.
I'm calling
Jordan
BS
basketball.
on that, Andy Stowe.
Yeah, you know.
Georgia basketball. One and done again.
Again, yeah.
There was a lot of hope that you can get a favorable draw and you'd move on to the round of 32. You played St. Louis, who, granted, ESPN bracket challenge told us was a good team. The metrics told us they were a good team. But St. Louis, you were hopeful that Georgia would be able to put up a showing, a much better showing than they actually did. They fell 102-77.
Yeah.
I think this was one of their largest defeat. I think this was their largest defeat of the season. Gentlemen, there were a lot of conversations on this show going into the week. There were a lot of conversations before this show. Thoughts on what went down in Buffalo?
I'll go first. So I do feel the season was still a success because you did go to the tournament 2 years in a row. We haven't done that in forever. So I think that is a success. However, when the players are saying they were like, yeah, we just weren't prepared. We weren't ready. It was like we didn't want to be there. Something's wrong on that end. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to sit here and blame Mike White. I think he did a good job when it looked like things were going south, after that or up for that Kentucky game. So I think he rallied the troops and they played really well down the stretch. But I don't know, Eddie. They went one and done in the SEC tournament, and they went one and done in the NCAA tournament, and they didn't look good in either game. So where do you go from here?
Put back up Grandpa Pappy's comment, the one before that, Harrison. The last part of that, I agree. That was probably the worst moment in Georgia basketball history, was what we watched the other night. Okay. I want to read y'all some numbers. We've had 4 tourney games with Mike White, 2 in the SEC and 2 in the NCAA tourney. We have been outscored 348 to 292. Okay. In the NCAA alone, 181 to 145. By the way, in that 4 that I read you, there was one that was a 4-point loss. So there's one that was relatively close. Blown out of the gym in 3 of 4 games. Now, I was absolutely disgusted by what I saw on the basketball floor, but I was more disgusted by what I heard in the post-game press conference. And you touched on it a little bit, Andy, but I just want to go a little further into this because it really pissed me off as a fan to have to sit here and listen to this. This is what Mike White said. We weren't very prepared to compete at the level that I thought we would, to jog back in transition defense is unacceptable. Okay. Jeremiah Wilkinson, these were his comments. We weren't ready to play today, and we didn't act like we wanted to be here. When asked if they played harder in the second half, he said, no, not at all. We've got to come out and play hard. Our will to win has to be higher. This is the NCAA tournament. There's nothing higher than this. How can you tell me, and by the way, I've been arguing with somebody else, I'm not going to bring up his name, that sounded like they didn't care to me. 100%. It sounded like they didn't care. Okay? Now, as a fan watching that, how am I supposed to care? That was inexcusable, both the effort on the floor and the comments afterwards. Inexcusable. I will never get over this. And I'm telling you guys right now, as a fan going into next year, let me finish this, Harrison, then I'll kick it to you. I don't care if they go 31-0. Me as a fan, I'm going to shrug my shoulders and say, give me a first tourney win. Give me a tourney win. Then you'll prove something to me. That'll prove that you care. because they didn't care on Thursday night. They didn't.
Well, I want to ask you guys this, and y'all know I'll take the shot here and there at Mike White, but I was not happy because we hired a Florida coach that was getting fired. I don't care who the coach is. If you're a player going into the NCAA tournament and you say we didn't want to be here, like what coach can make you want to be there? I don't know, man. I have a hard time blaming that one on Mike White. if you can't.
But you heard what I just read from Mike White, Andy. He wasn't prepared.
I did, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe he wasn't ready, and I don't know, but it's just I don't know, dude.
By the way, we were down by 40 in that game, okay? And the Dogs made a 17-2 run meaningless because St. Louis had their fourth stringers in, and that game would have been the worst tourney loss probably in the history of the tourney. I don't know, I may be exaggerating, but it was the worst loss of the day.
Yeah,
of all the tourney games. That's what are you doing? And one more thing, Harrison, I'll kick it back to you right here. All the grace that they brought into this program, John Bateman did a fantastic job moving the students down, offering them stuff. They filled that thing. I was there for 3 of the games. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The place was rocking. How do you go back next year after what we watched now 2 years running where they get blown out and acted like they didn't care and ask the students to come back and support this, ask me to come drive to Athens and support this program that we're going to, this is going to be different this year. I'm sorry. I'm burned, boys. My hair has been singed. I don't know that I'm going back. Go ahead, Harrison.
The man from Acworth not coming back.
He'll be back.
No, I'm still going to watch him. I still am going to, but I'm not going to, I'll be like Andy. I'll be like, they're on. I'll watch them. Oh, they lost. Okay. Oh, they won. Okay. Yeah. How do you invest yourself after that, Harrison? How?
It's a fair question. Well, and now the question becomes, what does this offseason look like? Because you had 2 years where you're on a trending up trajectory, and then boom, this happens. Yes, you made the tournament. Good. First time since 2002, you made the tournament 2 years in a row. You're going for your first tournament win since 1996 because your last one got vacated. Doesn't count anymore.
That's right.
Now you're stuck with this. And we already knew this offseason was going to be tough because you overperformed relative to expectations in the regular season. You underperformed relative to expectations in the postseason. I think that's fair to say, which is funny because we talked about that possibility last Sunday in terms of how basketball and football both have kind of like could end up having those similar trajectories. You overperform preseason compared to the preseason. You underperform compared to the postseason. Now the portal's opening up. Your roster is surely going to catch, the apple of someone's eye. You have a Jeremiah Wilkinson. You have a Cannon Catchings. You have a Kareem Stagg. You have a Jake Wilkins. Like, there are people on your roster that others are going to watch and want. How do you retain them? Because this was a chance for you to build in terms of having that rapport. Hey, we've not just made the tournament twice, but we've won a tournament game. You don't have that anymore. That's gone. Yeah. It's back to step one. We got to prepare for next season. And first things first, you got to retain your roster. So,
but do they? I mean, if I was a coach and my guys told me, I didn't play hard, I didn't try, do you really care if they retain those guys at that point?
No.
That's a good point. I'll give you that. But I will say this. You have some really good players on your roster. Like, this was one of the better rosters Georgia basketball's had in recent memory.
I guess.
They didn't care when it mattered.
They didn't care. That's the thing. If I was a coach.
All right. Did y'all watch, Harrison? I know you know it. High Point played their butts off. They won the first. I've never even heard of High Point. Right? They're up in North Carolina.
High Point. They're in North Carolina.
Yeah. I didn't. Okay. They won a first round game, and everybody's like, "Holy cow, High Point!" And they just played Arkansas. John Calipari coach team. Right? They ended up losing, but they dog fought them the whole game and played their butts off and wanted to be there. Let me read you this quote from John Calipari, okay? He said, after the game, when they beat High Point, he said, administrations win championships. Coaches win games. In this era of NIL, if you're not totally into it and they're not committed, you're not winning. You just can't. And High Point is. He was talking about how they charter flew a bunch of students out to the game to support the basketball program. Where is that at the University of Georgia? We're not even in that mix. AJ DeBanza from BYU got $7 million to play for BYU. Granted, they got bounced, but he was the best player on the team. Their second best player was out, so they got bounced. Our whole budget is $10 million. They're not serious about basketball. They're just not.
I hate to interrupt your point, but we have our first call-in of the day.
Go ahead,
ladies and gentlemen.
Let's do it.
Reoccurring call-in guest, Alex Page. Audio only, Alex Page.
Love it.
But Alex Page
That's fine.
is here. How are you doing this evening, Alex Page?
Finding you all. What's going on?
Pretty good.
Hey, I just wanted to chime in on this lovely Georgia basketball conversation. Eddie, I missed your last comment while trying to sign in, but to sum it up, sounds like it's related to the financial support from the athletic department towards basketball.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry. I didn't know that was a question to me. I'm sorry. Yes, it was. I basically said, Alex, that BYU paid AJ DeBanza $7 million and the entire budget for Georgia basketball is $10 million. So you do the math.
Yeah, well, it is interesting, that, because I think Tennessee was at the top from a support standpoint at like 23.
Yeah, they're at 23 million. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Basically, I just wanted to excuse me, kind of also ask Harrison who's in the signing class for Mike White that's already signed, because I know with basketball there's a spring window as well.
Andy pulled that up.
Yeah. Oh, Andy, Johnny on the spot over there with that.
And Andy can pull that up.
Andy's
I don't know if there's anyone
guy.
signed yet in that class.
I don't think so. I don't think we have anybody.
No, it does not look like anyone's signed right now.
No.
Okay. But to your point about the financial support, is there potential discussion of that improving? Because I know, it's interesting seeing those numbers and being like, okay, Tennessee, you can see that there's money well spent because you got Rick Barnes there in the discussion to not only go to the tournament every year, but also to win the conference in the regular season and also win the conference tournament as well.
Right.
And then after that, I think Florida was like third from okay.
That's
who
right.
was second?
They were.
So Texas is second. They spent $22.4 million. Actually, Arkansas. Where is Florida?
I know Florida's top
I want to
four.
point this. I want to point this out. Just a
I don't have Florida on my
very
list.
relevant, very needed note. The numbers that were released financially were purely operating budgets. They do not include any
That's
revenue.
not NIL. That is correct. Good call, Harrison. That is correct.
And I do not. Florida is not on the list.
But bottom line, you're still at the bottom of that list.
You are
the very bottom.
Yeah, and like into Harrison's point, that's just financial support from the athletic department. Does not include anything else. But I guess those numbers aren't really surprising once you factor in the lack of success that the program has had over, or lack of consistent success, I should say, over.
Yes.
I mean, hey, I guess since like Herrick was probably, I mean, I guess you can even go back, obviously Durham, but I mean, so I mean, and I do, to your point, I do like the changes they made in the STEG and where the students are located. But it's going to be interesting to see, who improves, especially if everyone stays too. Because to your point about folks getting in the portal or leaving, like, who wants players that have come out and said XYZ after a tournament game. And also, when you transfer, your role changes. So, Cannon, he's kind of one of the main guys at Georgia, but if he goes somewhere else, he may not be the main guy at that team. I mean, it's kind of like looking at Kentucky and being like, supposedly they spent X amount of dollars on their roster, but theoretically, they didn't get a difference maker with the supposed money that they spent. They got Denzel, from Aberdeen from Florida, but at Florida, watching him today, it looks like he was better in a backup role, come off the bench, and then you slide Walter Clayton to, off the ball, so to speak. Whereas at Kentucky, he's having to be the main, and that's probably why he left, because he knew he wasn't going to be, the main point guard. But like looking at Kentucky's roster, you're like basically the only one that is a difference maker was the guy that's been there the past 2 or 3 years, and that's Owe. Everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think I know number 10 has been there. I can't remember his name. He was there last year. But it's not only you want to increase support, but you also need to spend your money wisely as well.
Sure.
And then the one, but and also Alex, if the other, or go ahead.
I was just going to jump in here. So the one you got to keep now. Everybody on the starting 5 and maybe down 3 more players after that can come back next year, provided they're compensated and all that kind of stuff. They can come back. Jeremiah Wilkinson's phone is probably ringing off the hook, is it not? I mean, that's the one you got to retain because he became the leader. He scored 30 damn points in that game. He was the only one that seemed
that's the one. If you're going to keep, if that's the main one you need to keep,
there's going to be attrition. Let's just say you lose him. Where are we next year? Who replaces Jeremiah Wilkinson? I know you're going to go in the transfer portal. There's going to be players out there, but that's really tough to replace, is it not?
That would be a huge loss if he were to leave.
Yeah.
My main question, I'll get out of here, is if Georgia were to increase the support for the program, where would you want to see that money increase? And I'm not talking about NIL. I'm just talking about
where does it come from?
From a budget standpoint.
Yep.
Where do you want to see that money go, so to speak?
But also, where's that money coming from?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the thing. The University of Georgia is not going to do one thing that will negatively affect the football team. I know everybody's like, we're a football team. We could be a basketball team too. We should be a baseball team. I get it. I understand that. But, and I'm in this boat. If they take $1 from the football team that hurts them, I don't want to do it. And so I'm that guy,
All right, but Andy, to counter that, then what's the difference between Georgia and Tennessee? If Tennessee, where's Tennessee getting their money from?
I don't know, and that's a whole nother topic that I don't know where that's coming from.
Well, and now also too with Tennessee, they've had a lot more success in the past, 5-10
in basketball.
years.
But there again, it goes back to the argument: would you trade Alex Tennessee's football program with ours right now?
No. But also you all know how athletic departments work.
They
football
do,
rakes in the bulk of the money. And some of that gets siphoned off to other sports. Now, granted, you have other sports like men's basketball at Georgia, and baseball, where these are the sports that are going to make some money as well. So maybe that's what's going on at Tennessee too, where they've been making their men's and women's programs. They have been making money over the last however many years. So maybe they're not having to take as much from football.
And that's a good point.
And put it towards basketball.
Yeah, and that's a good point. But I will say this: and I don't care, they can lie. Every Tennessee fan, every Tennessee alum, every Tennessee administrator, they would trade with us in a second. They would say, "You guys won back-to-back national championships 3 years ago. You guys are right there on that cusp every single year for a national title in college football. We'll take that and we'll shut the basketball program down." Yep. And they would do it in a second. So
that is true.
You're right.
Yep.
But you look, there's programs that can do both. I'm not right. And by the way, I'm not asking for the basketball team to go win a national championship. That's beyond anything I can put between these 2 ears right here.
Right.
It's just win a damn game.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Eddie.
The next weekend and be in this, God forbid, the Sweet 16. That's all I'm asking. That's all. Just
or I guess, Eddie, to your point, at the very least, just show up. Just show up in the game that you do.
There you go. Just show up. Yeah. Rebound.
Try hard. Yeah.
Try.
Just think about it. Let's say if they would have went out and lost the game by 2 points on a buzzer beater, you would be disappointed they lost.
I would feel totally different. 100%.
Because you'd be like, man, I can't wait to see what happens next year. We bring these guys back.
I'd be sick about it.
Hey, to counter that, look at the Lady Dogs on Saturday. hey, they went to overtime and lost the game. So you're like, hey, at least there was a battle. They faltered down the end, but at least they fought to the end.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Real quick, Alex Page, thank you for coming on. We got another caller in queue.
Thank you, sir.
Alex is the man.
Awesome call, sir. Shout out, Alex.
No problem.
Hope we'll have you on again soon. All right. With that, we are welcoming in first-time caller to the Peach State Power, to my knowledge, Fred F. Fred, how's it going?
I'm excited about this. Audio only. That's okay.
Gentlemen, how you guys doing today?
What's up, Freddie? How are you?
I'm a big fan of EFA, so this is exciting for me. So
I'm gonna kick him off. All right, Fred,
I did not pay him anything. I didn't pay him anything.
Hey, he's the voice. He speaks for the voiceless a lot of times. So, but this one part, I do not agree with the money aspect, because I think the problem with that, the UJ basketball has got to be with culture, because if you're talking about the NCAA tournament and you don't want to show up to that, that's crazy. That's like, imagine, like, if you're going in business, you wouldn't want to put more money into a failing program like that. That's crazy. Who would want to do that if these guys are not showing up?
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's a great point, Fred, because I asked this exact thing to Bill Shanks on his show this week. I said, if a big donor came to Mike White right now, or excuse me, Mike White went to a big donor right now and said, hey, pony up, we got some good things coming next year, and he watched what happened Thursday, he'd laugh him out of the room.
Forget about it, man. That's crazy.
Why would I put any money into this program when you as a coach said you weren't prepared and your players said they didn't, quote unquote, care about it? It's semantics, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you put if you're a sugar daddy, why would you put any money into this program?
Lord.
Why?
Well, let me ask you this, though, Fred. So if that is the case, and y'all are right, but so what's the problem? Where does it start at the top? Is that the issue that we're?
I'm just gonna start with the coach, because they don't know anything about winning, man. Look, 2 years straight, they bowed out of the SEC tournament. At some point, you gotta start a foundation of winning, not just only in the regular season, but when the tournament comes about, try to win some games. But no, they bowed out. Oh, we need the extra time to prepare. Okay. So now they got the extra time. I think Mike White at one point said that St. Louis was fresh. I'm like, are you crazy? What are you talking about? You guys didn't show up in your tournament. You had all this time off, and then you don't show up for the NCAA tournament. What, you get ready for the next tournament that comes along? I mean, it's unacceptable, man. It's crazy to me.
So, I mean, the question is it Mike White? Is it the players that he's recruiting? Is it?
Yes, to both. Yes, Mike White. It starts with him, because he's the one that got an extension recently. Yeah, and he's picking the players. It's him.
Okay,
because
Fred,
look,
Fred, let me stop you. So I've gone over this in my mind too, and I am not saying fire Mike White. I am not saying that at all.
Me either. And y'all know I've always kind of been a little.
Wait a minute. Let's say tomorrow Josh Brooks wakes up and says, "This is not what we need to do," and he fires Mike White. What is next? What is it? Are they going to go out and hire get a John Calipari from Arkansas? That's crazy. But that's the first name that came to my mind. Are they going to go get the guy from Kansas, Bill Self? No, they're going to go get some mid-level guy we've never heard of, and we're going to be right back here in 2 years talking about the same damn thing. That's the point, Fred. They're not serious about the basketball program. They're not.
But we don't know that. We don't know that, because who was Todd Golden before Florida hired him?
Yeah, but Florida's serious about basketball, though.
Yeah,
and who did they fire before they got Todd Golden?
Mike White.
They didn't fire him.
Exactly.
Well, he was getting fired. He was fired, Eddie.
I know, but we paid it out, and we said we'll take him, and they were like, "Bye-bye, see you later."
Yeah.
I'm not for the Raheem Morris of the UJ basketball. I'm like, this is bad, man. This is like it. We just look. Josh Brooks has to look and scout and look all over the country. And why does it have to be a big name coach all the time? You just got to look for good assistants. sometimes that's all you need. Like you get the guy that doesn't have a name.
Wasn't that the case with Mark Fox?
That was Mark. We did that with Mark Fox.
Mike White. We've been down that road. I'm not saying you're wrong, Fred. I'm just saying I just don't think you remember a few years ago when they talked about. I think it was when Mark Fox was fired, and they were talking about bringing in Bobby Knight. Was that before that?
That was, I think that was after Bobby. Yeah, I think Bobby White was. I think White. Let's see. I think Bobby Knight was after Mark Fox.
Maybe it was that. Whatever. Whatever. We weren't in that mix, right? Now I'm not saying Bobby Knight would have, but that's a name and that's a proven head coach. I mean, we know what Bobby Knight could have done right here with this program. That never happened here. Those kind of things don't happen here. That's my point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just afraid that if we keep Mike White, your head's gonna blow off the top if they don't make it. If they don't make it to the tournament.
I got bad news for you, Fred. He ain't going anywhere. I mean, he's here till 2031.
That's crazy. Well, anyways, I'm so appreciative. Like you guys invited me into this group, man. Yeah. I love you guys. My only gripe with you guys is Harrison not putting up the podcast. Because it's hard for me to follow you guys on Sunday sometimes.
Complains about that. Yeah, you're the one that complains about that. Give him hell, Fred, because I've been on him about that. Absolutely, give him hell about that.
Yeah, man, it's like I can't catch you guys all the time on Sunday night, man. So I'm like, damn, I want to hear you guys. I was like, okay, I'm waiting for the pod. It never shows up. But I know that's Harrison's MO.
That's Harrison. Yep.
It's all me. I will clip this and send it to myself so I remember to put the podcast.
Oh my God.
Fred F.
Hey, thank you guys.
That was awesome.
Fred F. Any final points? Any thoughts on football, real quick, before we let you roll?
Oh, I'm excited, man. Like I think the defense that's coming up projected.
Yeah.
I don't think like the need for replacement for Branch I think we won't need it as much because I think Kirby's going to give these teams like short fields. That defense is going to be lights out, I think.
Good.
Yeah. I think our defense is going to be strong next year. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the defense.
Fred F., thank you, sir. Please come back on to the Peach State Power. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Well, I will. Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys.
Long-time listener over here. Always in our comment section. Always mention us on Twitter. We really do appreciate you, my friend. We will see you back soon. With that, we got another guest real quick, and I think this one may or may not talk Braves with us real quick before we close out this show. Ladies and gentlemen, good friend of the show. Just left. Right, I was about to put him on screen. Never mind. All right. Well, we will continue rolling. Boys, opening day.
This Friday. Here. Yes, this Friday.
It's coming up.
Hard to believe.
I've been waiting for this. Thoughts and feelings on your Atlanta Braves, because I am. All right, he's back. He's back again. Should I ghost him or should we put him on?
Bring him in. We can talk Braves.
Ladies and gentlemen, our favorite former co-host, Paul Meharry.
Here we go.
What up?
Why are we complaining about going to the National Collegiate Athletic Association tournament 2 times in a row?
What? The National what?
The NC2A tournament.
Get him out of here. Get him.
He's been drinking. Hey Paul. Hey Paul. Question. This Friday is I think he's drinking. This Friday, opening day for the Atlanta Braves.
Definitely not drinking. Just got done playing pickleball. This Friday's opening day. I don't know how to watch it. There's nowhere to watch it. You can't watch it.
Great TV. It's on national TV.
It's on great TV. You get it. But
I don't get it.
Well, that's a you problem.
Okay, but look, what do you think the outlook of the season is? What are your concerns for this current team, and what do you think their outlook's going to be?
The concerns pitching, obviously. You had Ronaldo Lopez throwing 89 miles an hour a day,
bringing gas. Yeah, you'd think he would be a little harder.
I think pitching is going to be a downfall for this team. I'm not sold on going and getting Lucas Giolito just yet.
No.
I'm all right with Mr. Goodwrench. This is I'm not drunk, guys. So this is crazy.
Mr. Goodwrench.
I don't
That's
even know what that is.
amazing.
I don't even know what that is.
That's amazing.
But the pitching obviously is a huge concern. The lineup. So I looked at the lineup that will be out there probably opening day because Yaz is not.
Hang on, Paul. We got Ben Bachman in here talking about baseball, and he likes the Baltimore Orioles. Get out of it. You lost me with that crap team.
But
right, go ahead.
But the lineup without Yastrzemski in there, and obviously without Profar against a left-handed pitcher, looks pretty slim once you get down 6, 7, 8, 9. That was not what we were expecting.
Yeah.
So I think that the problem is we have the pitching in the minors that can, hopefully fill some holes. Didi is obviously made the major league team, and then you have J.R. Ritchie, who's probably not too far behind him. You don't have any of those guys in the minor leagues right now that can come fill in offensively, though.
No,
you've got journeymen, you've got Ben Gamble and Rowdy Tellez and those type of guys, right? You don't have any. Young prospects in the offensive side of the ball. So that's the problem. I see 87, 88 wins the way the roster is constructed right now. But I think hopefully, as much as we loved AA for some of his moves and getting us the 2021 World Series, I hope that he's able to maybe make some changes at the deadline or something like that to add to this team. And hopefully we can get there is the other thing.
Yeah.
That was my one question I was going to ask to you, Paul. It's like it kind of almost feels like we're back to the early days of AA where he doesn't make any big splashes or anything until the deadline, until he's up against the gun. And it's like this is the last possible chance to improve this team.
Well,
that feels like the strategy here.
That's his MO, and rightfully so. I mean, you've got a lot of really good players on this team. They've just underperformed. So, hopefully Riley turns around. He's looked great. Drake Baldwin's looked phenomenal during spring. You hope Michael Harris can turn it around. You hope you can get something out of Ozzy Albies. You get HSK back within a certain time frame. So there's guys there that can make a difference. It's just that opening day lineup. When I saw it, I mean, it's obviously not written in stone yet, but when I saw it, what that looks to be projected wise, just did not. What do you say, Eddie? Like tickle the something or something?
It doesn't
like
warm his cockles.
Yeah,
warm the cockles.
Yeah, it does not.
Which, by the way,
it's
not sexual. It has to do with your heart. So
there is
you guys want to make
a
it
word
sexual,
within that Eddie's just obsessed with. If you know, you know.
That's just ridiculous, Harrison. It has nothing to do with that. By the way, did you like my name, Paul? Did you like my name? You're probably the only one that knows what that means. I know you can't see it now. There you go.
Frustrated Cajun fan. Yeah, he's a frustrated basketball fan.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I know Harrison has no idea what that means.
I didn't even notice.
I know I missed 57 minutes of the show, but I literally got on here thinking I was out there playing pickleball. I was out there hustling.
Did you win?
No.
So I missed
here we go.
57
So
minutes
that's
of the
a no
show.
because
look, we played against a really competitive team.
It's a yes or no answer. Did you win?
No, we didn't win.
Okay. That's all.
It was my first ever match.
Else.
We lost 13-15, 13-15, 11-15. So
did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a
Ben.
Did you play? Wait. Let me explore this for a minute. Did you play with your wife?
No. I played with my wife's younger sister. She played tennis. So
because I couldn't play with my wife.
Yeah, we played mixed doubles one. And went up against a tough team. And first time playing, and we put up a fight. We had some challenges out there. If we were to have a press conference at the end of it, I wouldn't say that we weren't prepared or anything like that. I feel like we were prepared. And it's just the better team won. We did care. We cared a lot. And, I feel like we had a good game plan. But it is what it is.
Paul, last thing, and I'll let you roll.
Please.
True or false? You went toward a member of the Peach State Power Hours home area, invited him to lunch, and then they didn't show up. Is that true or false?
That's absolutely false.
It's pretty close to being true. Yeah.
No, that is absolutely false.
Yeah, I gave him a
Paul,
2
is
months.
that member of the show on the screen right now?
Yeah, bottom by himself. Yeah.
Folks,
Yeah.
that's who's real and who's
the
not.
real story. Wait a minute. The real story is I texted him my address. He said that's 30 minutes away, and then he wrote a word I can't say on the air. Blank that. That's the real story.
Oh, I don't remember that.
He's probably working.
Oh yeah, here we go. I don't remember that.
Hey, but look, Tennessee played hard, and they're about to win this game. So
They're gonna win. Jesus.
Yeah, they're gonna win. Florida's in a battle right now against Iowa, though.
Damn it.
But
I'm surprised. This guy got a new tattoo, and he's not on here showing it off. I thought he would have came on here like shirt off, just like aerial view of the new tat. But
you
I
want
guess
to
not.
see me shirtless, Harrison? That's crazy.
No. I was just saying.
A picture of the tat. We didn't ask for your back. I mean,
but real quick on UGA basketball, I think there's a little bit of an overreaction. I think that it's also a little bit warranted. So I've flip flopped on this a lot. Eddie
you sound like Andy sitting on a damn fence and enjoying it. That's what you sound like.
No. I'm not
Eddie's
Switzerland.
Andy's just catching straight.
I am not Switzerland when it comes to sports takes. Okay. And
Let's hear it.
I was very upset with the loss. I also realized
understatement of the hour.
I also realized that this team probably exceeded expectations based on losing Silas Demery. Look, Eddie, you can roll your eyes and all that you want. They lost Silas Demery. They lost Asa Newell.
Don't care.
Okay. And you have to reload with that. And what we saw, here's the thing. What we saw is the NIL budgets come out right around this March Madness whole debacle. And Georgia is at the bottom of the SEC.
Did they win 22 games in the regular season?
Yeah, they won.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
So they exceeded what they did last year. And then they went into the tourney and lost to a horrible Ole Miss team. I don't care that they got it closed. I don't care. And then they went and got blown out by St. Louis. Then they got blown out by St. Louis like they didn't even care.
Ole Miss almost ran the whole table in the SEC. There was a Cinderella story. They beat two other teams past Georgia.
But did they? They lost the next day. I don't want to hear that.
They won the next game. What are you talking about?
I don't want to hear it. They had 4 wins in the SEC all year.
Well, guess what? They had 8 when it finished. They went on a good run.
All right. We will continue this debate.
Maybe we should root for Ole Miss basketball then.
No, I don't know. Eddie was doing that earlier in the week. I'm not going to lie to you.
What I'm saying though is
you're excusing it. You're excusing it.
Listen, Linda. If
never been called Linda before, I like that. Linda.
Have you not
Linda
seen
Mattingly.
the meme?
My aunt's named Linda. She's Linda Mattingly. Call me Linda.
If you're saying that this team, so you have a double-edged sword here, Eddie, is what you're doing. It's exactly what you're doing. You're asking for the world, but you're not. You just said before I got on the show, I'm not willing to put any money in it. No sugar daddy's willing to put any money in it. So
is winning one game in the tourney asking for the world? Are you kidding me?
But let's go back 5 years. 5 years.
Oh my God. I'm so tired of this argument. We haven't won a game in 30 years in the tourney. 30 years.
And I'm completely on your side with that. I'm 100%.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. You about just made me say a really dirty word.
I don't care. Cuss away.
All right.
I'm on your side with that.
I'll let him finish his point.
I'm on your side with that, but you also have to tamper your expectations. Georgia is not a basketball school.
I'm not tampering anything for one win in the tourney. One.
But just hold the phone. I wish we could replay last week because we said if they win one game, will it be okay? And you were like, I don't know, man.
That is bullcrap. I said that's a success. Andy, back me up on this. I said that's a success.
Gentlemen, we have another caller. And I think he wants Paul on here, as he says. New caller. We have like a minute, and then we got to wrap this thing up, and y'all can do this off stage. Welcome to the show, Ben Bachman.
Can you please kick Andy off the show? He is adding absolutely nothing to this broadcast whatsoever. You guys are talking basketball, and you have Paul arguing, you have Eddie arguing. You just have Andy standing here. He's contributing nothing.
Hey,
Switch
to be
one.
fair, I'm
baseball.
just standing here too.
Can we kick off Ben
He
Bachman,
wants
who's never
Nacho
played
Alvarez
a sport
to be
in
their
his
ace
life?
starting pitcher for the
Yeah, that's a
Braves.
good point, Andy.
That Ben's
That's a
never
great
played a
point,
sport in
Andy.
his life. He looks like a little 2-year-old
Tiddlywinks.
kid out there. He plays tiddlywinks.
Andy,
and
I'm like
catches
twice
tips.
your size. You're like 5'3".
Dude,
You
you
live
weigh 120 pounds.
Hey, all right,
Man,
folks,
out of
it's
control.
been a great call-in show. I'm going to end this.
Some little dorky guy that was
let
he would
the
like
audio
never been on a
only
date
people-
type thing, you know. So yeah.
All right, next week, 7:30 at on Sunday on the Peach State Power Hour. I'm Harris Reno. That's Andy Stowe. That's Eddie from Acworth, and that was Ben Bachman, Paul Meharry, Alex Page in Fred F. We'll see you next week.